Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. Welcome to another episode of Sick Call. I am Staff Sergeant Scott McMenemy from the Valencia Army Medical Recruiting Station. Also from the station today, we have Sergeant First Class Phillips.
Good morning.
This week, we have Major Jeffrey Froude with us. Major Froude is an active duty biochemist in the U.S. Army. Sir, welcome, and we're excited to have you today.
Thank you for having me.
Can you start off a little bit by telling us about yourself?
Absolutely. So I have a PhD in chemistry from the University of Arkansas with a focus on biochemistry. I joined the active duty from the National Guard, but that's not a requirement. A lot of good scientists and leaders come straight in from a direct commission. After my PhD, I direct commissioned and started doing research at USAMRIID on different types of vaccines and other types of targets for bacterial agents. Then I did a lot of work focused on antibodies and development of medical countermeasures against multiple types of viruses through my career, where I've had publications and patents, and most of my work is focused on that particular lane of medical countermeasure development. At this time, I'm currently the director of the Pilot Bioproduction Facility, a manufacturing facility that's currently making the SARS-2 COVID vaccine for the Department of Defense, and one of the partners in Operation Warp Speed.
That's very cool. So definitely some real-time, real-life situations going on. I mean, we're probably more aware than most, and you, of course, sir, that the Army is involved in research. Can you tell us a little bit about the research and patent process that folks go through?
So most Army officers, when they first come in as a 71 series, your Allied Health Science officers, your 71 Alphas and Bravos, typically go through a utilization tour right when they come on, where they're put into several different tracks. For the 71 Bravos, this can include your research and development tracks. So we have multiple labs, infectious disease labs like USAMRIID, infectious disease and brain health here at RARE. We have nutritional health up at Natick and Boston, and we have surgical research down in Boston. So we have a lot of opportunities for research and development early on. And we really encourage our young officers right when they come on to develop a technical expertise. Ultimately, the goal from the military perspective is to make us leaders. So eventually we evolve into more administrative activities, but right there at the beginning, we're given an opportunity to work with industry, academia, and our DoD partners to develop good science. And from that, we're allowed to publish and even patent in some cases where the DoD supports that activity.
Awesome. So where all have you been stationed?
So most of my stationings have been here and around the National Capital Region. However, I have been part of an exchange program called the Engineer and Scientists Exchange Program, where I was stationed in France for a couple of years, embedded with the French government, doing this type of work and bringing back different types of techniques and procedures back to our U.S. laboratories. In addition to those assignments, I've also gone to schools across the U.S. As part of some of my program management assignments, I have been multiple times to Africa, Australia, Europe, Southeast Asia, multiple locations, basically going where the diseases are, going where those good researchers are, so we can partner and get good medical countermeasures for our troops.
Awesome.
That's very cool. And I would presume, sir, there's not a whole lot of correlation between an Army biochemist to a civilian, meaning the fact that you get the opportunity to do a lot of extra travel and, kind of work as that liaison officer. Would you agree with that statement?
I would agree with that statement. One thing that I would say, and I touched on this earlier, is that the overall Army goal is to eventually make us into leaders. So they're going to put us earlier in our career into those lab leadership opportunities. We'll still be able to do significant science, but they're going to quickly push us into positions where we learn that international relation, where we learn that leadership capability, where we learn that interface capability with academia, industry, and intergovernmental agencies. Does that answer your question?
It did, sir. Sorry. Thank you. No, you're good.
So on a day-to-day, what is Army life like for a biochemist?
Typically for a biochemist, your day-to-day depends on your location and what your schedule is. I mean, for myself, I'm an early bird, so I'm normally up at, 5, 6 in the morning, and then I do PT, and then I get to work, and right now, since I'm the director of a facility, I've moved more into an administrative role. So I'm doing a lot of meetings and a lot of basically development and working for funding, almost like what a PI would be doing, or basically a director of any type of facility. However, when I was a captain and my first couple assignments, the day-to-day activities really depended on the science. If I needed to come in early and work on animals or work on developing cell cultures, then I would do that. But if I needed to be there later, I would work that. So it was really flexible based on the unit that you're in and the type of work that you're doing.
So far in your career, sir, what would you say your favorite assignment has been?
I've had multiple favorite types of assignments. So for like strategic impact, my last assignment, I was at the Defense Threat Reduction Agency, and I was part of the team that managed the portfolio for all viral science and technology, from basic science to phase 1 for chem bio. So that included like Ebola, encephalitic viruses, all of those interesting things for for vaccines and therapeutics. And so strategically, I got to work very closely with BARDA, work with our international partners, and work with multiple companies. And that was really engaging and interesting. I think scientifically, being able to work as a BSL-4 scientist, work in high containment labs, like, pop culture has shown you in Contagion or Outbreak and those types of movies. It's not exactly like that, but working in those types of facilities was an incredible scientific experience, especially coming in as a young captain and being able to have those opportunities. I don't think that I've had one bad job. Every job has been excellent. And now, after all of that, I'm allowed to have and, support a directorship here at this facility. All great jobs.
Awesome. Can you speak more on the patent process?
So it's really dependent. So the way that it works is, we're allowed to publish and patent, and we have a clearance process just like any industry would. The reason that they encourage patenting and publishing is really to protect the DoD. So although I'm named on the patent, it's an Army patent, and the Army has done, and their legal office does all of the work to support that. We just get an opportunity to basically have some recognition as part of that process.
Okay.
Awesome. So with that said this morning, sir, I think we're kind of getting to the point where we're closing things down a little bit. I do have one final question, though. If you could go back to the beginning and start all over, what would be the one piece of advice you wish you had coming into the application process for Army medicine, or even as an officer in general?
My one piece of advice would be to own your own process and own your own paperwork. The recruiting staff, I know you guys do everything you can for the candidates that are looking to come in these positions, but what we have to remember is for the 71 Bravos and the 71 Alphas, there's only a couple hundred of us from captain to colonel. So there's only so many coming in each year. So the recruiters might not have seen these before, but they are there to help you. Fill out your paperwork as quickly and as efficiently and as complete as you can, because they're going to basically use that to build that packet to make sure it goes before the board in a very robust manner. However, they're wanting to push you to get all that paperwork very quickly so that they can go through it and make sure there's no issues, so that at the time of the board, you're ready to go. So own your paperwork and own your process all the way through your career, but start it with your packet process for recruitment.
Well said, sir.
So, sir, we would like to thank you again for being with us today. I know you're very busy in your schedule, so thank you again. And after that, I mean, this wraps up our show for today. We want to thank all of our viewers who have tuned in live with us. You can comment below, or you can comment on any of our other social media platforms. We hope everyone has a great weekend and a safe weekend, and we look forward to seeing you next week here on Sit Call at 10 a.m. Have a good weekend. Bye.